Listen, family, stop scrolling right now, because what I am about to lay out for you is the single most damning sequence of events I have ever watched a female celebrity walk herself into on camera, and every hour that passes the noose gets tighter around Chrisean Rock's neck. I am telling you, on everything, by the time this year closes out, Chrisean Rock is going to be sitting in a Maryland holding cell answering for the murder of a man whose only crime was asking for a court-ordered DNA test on a baby he swore up and down was his. This is not a rumor. This is not a blog cycle. This is not Zeus Network Twitter running its mouth. TMZ has officially picked this story up. The Anne Arundel County Police Department in Maryland has officially confirmed the case is open and active. A witness has already been pulled in for questioning about his personal relationship with Chrisean Rock. And multiple industry insiders are now saying out loud that Chrisean Rock has confessed to putting the hit on Ronnie Doe with her own mouth to more than one person in this business. Roll the tape, folks, because this is about to be the biggest hip-hop crime story of 2026, and I do not want a single one of you to say, I did not warn you first. Here is what nobody wants to admit about Chrisean Rock. Long before the shooting in Severn, Maryland, long before Ronnie Doe caught 10 shots in his own driveway, long before Wack 100 sat in front of a camera and predicted, almost word for word, exactly how Chrisean Rock was going to fall, this woman was already telling the world who she was. She stomped Carlissa's bodyguard on livestream. She got her paws put on her by Blueface in the middle of a Los Angeles street, and turned around and told the internet she loved him. She got dragged out of a mall with a baby in her arm because Ronnie Doe pulled up on her and screamed to a crowd of shoppers that the child she was holding was his blood, not Blueface. Chrisean Rock has been telling on herself in slow motion for 2 years, and now the receipts are stacking so high that even TMZ is writing headlines with her government name attached to an unsolved homicide. If you thought the Blueface arc was messy, if you thought the Zeus Network cameras were catching the worst of it, I promise you, you have not seen the wildest part yet. So watch this, because the timeline is what is going to send Chrisean Rock to prison. Ronnie Doe, legal name Karen Can, was following Chrisean Rock from state to state trying to get a judge to order the paternity test that Chrisean Rock kept ducking. Not once, not twice, repeatedly. Every court date, she found a way around it. Every subpoena, she acted like she was never served. And here is the piece that makes my stomach turn. Ronnie Doe was there in the delivery room the day that baby was born. Ronnie Doe was on record telling anyone who would listen that Chrisean Jr. was his son, down to the front teeth, down to the eyes, down to the shape of the jaw. He was so convinced that he pulled up on Chrisean Rock at a mall while she was standing there with an infant in her arms and yelled it into the air for every stranger to hear. Chrisean Rock pressed charges on him that same afternoon. Ronnie Doe caught a court date behind those charges. That court date landed on a Friday. And on the Wednesday night before that Friday court date, the exact court date where Ronnie Doe planned to slap Chrisean Rock with the paternity subpoena in front of the judge, Ronnie Doe was ambushed outside his own home in Severn, Maryland. A vehicle pulled up behind his car. A shooter got out. Ronnie Doe never even had a chance to look up. 10 shots. Targeted. Surgical. Whoever did this wanted it done fast, and they wanted it done before the calendar ticked to Friday. You tell me that is a coincidence. I dare you. But that is not even the wildest part. Because a week before Ronnie Doe was executed in his own driveway, somebody put money on his head. Money that Ronnie Doe knew about. Money that neighborhood chatter was already whispering about by the Monday before he died. And by the time Ronnie Doe stopped breathing on that Wednesday night, that bounty had been sitting on his forehead for exactly 4 days. 4 days. Now think about that for a second. Think about who benefits from Ronnie Doe never making it to that Friday court date. Think about who benefits from that paternity test never being run. There is exactly one person on planet Earth who benefits from that outcome, and her name is Chrisean Rock. Because listen, Chrisean Rock has already confessed. And I am not saying this to be dramatic. Multiple people in this industry, not one, not two, multiple, have told the same story out of separate mouths. Chrisean Rock told them, in her own words, that Ronnie Doe was pulling up on her too much, that the mall incident with the baby in her arms was her last straw, that she was tired of him embarrassing her, that she was tired of him running behind her from city to city, and that she made a phone call and made him disappear. If Chrisean Rock wants to sit here and swear on live that she did not do this, I could pull up a list right now of the people she confessed it to. I could name 3 of them tonight. I will not, because I am not trying to catch a subpoena myself. But every insider who has been anywhere near a Zeus Network taping in the last 12 months has heard the same admission come out of the same mouth. Chrisean Rock has told on herself so many times that Wack 100, on a stream from 7 months ago, predicted this exact investigation, predicted the exact arrest, and predicted the exact way she would fall. Here is what Wack 100 said. Wack 100 said Chrisean Rock is not politically connected enough to survive this. Wack 100 said Chrisean Rock is not sitting on $100 million. Wack 100 said Chrisean Rock is not a don in the streets. Chrisean Rock is a young woman who paid a small amount of money to a couple of guys with no loyalty to her, no code, no reason to eat that charge on her behalf. And the moment one of those guys catches an unrelated case in Maryland, Prince George's County, and Arundel County, anywhere in that Baltimore corridor, the moment that happens, and it is going to happen, that shooter is going to walk into an interrogation room and hand the detectives Chrisean Rock's name in exchange for a plea deal on his own charge. This is exactly how Jimmy Henchman went down. This is exactly the trajectory Chrisean Rock is on right now. But that is not even the wildest part. Because there was another clip, a clip from a Neon livestream, where Chrisean Rock, on camera, in front of her own audience, told Neon that if he kept playing with her, he was going to end up in a grave like her baby daddy. Her exact words. She said it. It is on tape. Every gossip archivist in this niche was screen recording that stream in real time. And I am asking any one of you watching right now, if you save that clip, upload it, tag it, send it to me, because that clip is about to become Exhibit A in a homicide indictment. Chrisean Rock does not know how to keep her mouth shut. Chrisean Rock does not understand that every single second she spends on Snapchat, on Instagram Live, on Zeus Network cameras, on X Spaces, every single one of those seconds is evidence that a Maryland detective can subpoena with a signature. So watch this. TMZ reached out to law enforcement this week, and the response that came back, the response that a lot of you are going to overlook, is the single most damaging sentence I have read in an entertainment news cycle this year. A representative for the Anne Arundel County Police Department in Maryland told TMZ, in writing, that they can confirm the case is open and active, but that they are not able to provide any additional details at this time. Read that sentence again. Read it slowly. Because if Chrisean Rock was not a suspect, if Chrisean Rock was not a person of interest, if Chrisean Rock was not the primary name currently sitting at the top of that detective's whiteboard, the answer would have been very different. The answer would have sounded like the answer the Chicago Police Department gave when Lil Durk asked whether he was a suspect in the murder of Stephon Clark. The Chicago Police Department wrote back, on the record, that no, Lil Durk was not a suspect and there was no intent to charge him. That is what a police department says when a name has already been cleared. That is not what Anne Arundel County said about Chrisean Rock. Anne Arundel County said we cannot comment. Anne Arundel County said the investigation is active. When they answer like that, family, that means the name is already on the board. That name is already circled in red on a corkboard in a Maryland precinct. And it is not Poetic Flacco's name. And it is not your name. And it is not my name. Because we were never on their radar. Chrisean Rock's name is on that board. Here is what nobody wants to admit. A man named Quell, a man who was in the DMs going back and forth with Ronnie Doe before the shooting, a man who had his own drama with Chrisean Rock, has already been contacted by police. Quell has already sat down. Quell has already been asked questions. And Quell has already said, out of his own mouth, that the questions the police kept coming back to were about Chrisean Rock, about her personality, about what she was capable of, about her relationship with Ronnie Doe, about who she was talking to, about what she was capable of paying for. Quell has already been squeezed. Quell is the kind of witness whose testimony can pivot an entire homicide investigation because Quell was inside the digital paper trail. Every DM, every screenshot, every voice memo, every threat, all of it is now in a Maryland evidence locker within Anne Arundel County case number stamped across the top. Roll the tape, folks. Because Chrisean Rock is also on her way out of the country. Chrisean Rock has already announced that she is moving abroad. She has been telling her audience for the last 3 weeks that she is done with America, that the vibes are off, that she needs a fresh start, and that she is taking her son and disappearing to a jurisdiction where the cameras cannot find her. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a woman going through it. But if you have been paying attention to the exact week she made this announcement, you understand what is really happening here. Chrisean Rock is not going on vacation. Chrisean Rock is running. Chrisean Rock is watching TMZ pick up her name in an active homicide investigation. Chrisean Rock is watching Wack 107-month-old prediction age like fine wine. Chrisean Rock is watching Quell get called in for a police interview. Chrisean Rock is doing the math on what 4 days of bounty plus 1 dead ex-boyfriend plus 1 missed paternity test plus multiple confessions to industry insiders adds up to, and the number she is coming to terminates in handcuffs. So Chrisean Rock is telling the world she is going somewhere with an extradition treaty as a decoy, and then, if she is smart, which the streets are not sure that she is going to disappear to a place that does not have one. Catch her if you can. But that is not even the wildest part, because Blueface has now started to talk. Blueface, from inside a California prison cell, has told anyone with a phone that he does not trust Chrisean Rock, that Chrisean Rock is a backdoor artist, that Chrisean Rock is capable of things the public has not even begun to grasp, and that if Chrisean Rock did what everybody is now saying she did, Blueface wants nothing to do with the fallout. Now here is what is going to make Blueface's mother, Carlisa Saffold, laugh out loud at a bus stop in Southern California. Carlisa has been saying for 2 full years that Chrisean Rock is dangerous. Carlisa has been saying that Chrisean Rock manipulated her son. Carlisa has been saying that Chrisean Rock lied about the paternity of the baby. Carlisa has been saying that Chrisean Rock was still sleeping with Ronnie Doe when she started sleeping with Blueface. Carlisa was right. And Carlisa, for once in the entire arc of this saga, is about to be publicly vindicated. Drop your verdict below on how you feel about that. Here is what nobody wants to admit. Chrisean Rock's own sister, on camera, on a Jason Lee interview that is still on the internet as we speak, implied, in language soft enough to duck a defamation lawsuit, but heavy enough for everyone to hear, that Chrisean Rock had Ronnie Doe killed to avoid the paternity test. Her own sister, her own blood, the person who grew up in the same house, ate at the same table, watched her from age 0 to today. Chrisean Rock's own sister is on video suggesting that Chrisean Rock committed a homicide to cover up a lie about a baby. And Chrisean Rock, to this day, has not sued her sister. Chrisean Rock has not sued Wack 100. Chrisean Rock has not sued Jason Lee. Chrisean Rock has not sued a single blog. Because if Wack 100 was lying, Chrisean Rock would sue Wack 100. If her sister was lying, Chrisean Rock would sue her sister. But there is a legal reason Chrisean Rock is silent, and that legal reason is that truth is an absolute defense to defamation, and Chrisean Rock cannot risk sitting in a deposition where a lawyer asks her, under oath, in writing, whether she did or did not have Karen killed. So watch this. Chrisean Rock is trapped. Chrisean Rock is boxed in. Chrisean Rock has a public that is now openly turning on her. Chrisean Rock has a mother-in-law figure in Carlisa who is about to spend the next 12 months on every podcast in America saying, "I told you so." Chrisean Rock has an incarcerated baby daddy in Blueface who is quietly telling anyone who will listen that he wants no part of her legal exposure. Chrisean Rock has a sister who has already implied on camera that she did it. Chrisean Rock has industry insiders who are ready to name names, dates, and locations. Chrisean Rock has a neon livestream clip where she threatened somebody with the exact same fate that Ronnie Doe suffered. Chrisean Rock has a TMZ headline attached to her government name in an active homicide investigation. And Chrisean Rock has a Maryland detective who is now, at this very moment, on his own laptop, watching every one of these gossip breakdowns to build his case file, because the police in the internet era let YouTube commentators, Zeus network cameras, and Snapchat live streams do their evidence collection for them. And then they walk into a grand jury with a folder of screenshots and a shooter's confession, and they walk out with an indictment. Because listen, this is the part that is going to make your blood run cold. The police did not need to do the hard work on this case. The internet did the hard work for them. Every screen-recorded live stream, every leaked DM, every insider confession, every fan on Twitter who took the time to zoom into a photograph of the baby and compare Ronnie Doe's front teeth to Chrisean Jr.'s front teeth. Every single one of those receipts is now cataloged, tagged, cross-referenced, and sitting inside a Maryland evidence room. And every one of those receipts was volunteered by an audience that thought they were just being nosy an audience that did not realize they were doing homicide investigation as a hobby. The police do not knock on doors anymore. The police open a browser tab. The police follow the trail that the audience already dug up. And by the time the police move, the case is already built. The case is already sealed. All that is left is the fitting of the handcuffs. But that is not even the wildest part. Because in the last 72 hours, Chrisean Rock has been posting on Snapchat that she has found God. Chrisean Rock has been posting scripture. Chrisean Rock has been posting prayer emojis. Chrisean Rock has been talking about walking with the Lord and about forgiveness and about repentance, and every single one of those posts has been timestamped, screenshotted, and archived by the gossip community, because the pattern of a celebrity finding Jesus exactly the week that a homicide investigation goes public is one of the loudest tells in the entire criminal behavior playbook. When you see somebody turn to God on Snapchat 48 hours after TMZ writes a story with their name in it, you are not witnessing a spiritual awakening. You are witnessing a legal strategy. You are witnessing a defense attorney whispering into a client's ear that a repentant defendant plays better in front of a Maryland jury than an unrepentant one. So watch this. Chrisean Rock has also been running around telling anybody who will listen that she has already taken the paternity test. Chrisean Rock has been telling reporters that the test is done. Chrisean Rock has been telling reporters that Blueface is the biological father. Chrisean Rock has been telling reporters that Ronnie Doe was lying the entire time. But here is the piece Chrisean Rock is dodging. And here is the piece nobody in the mainstream press is pressing her on. Chrisean Rock will not release the paperwork. Chrisean Rock will not upload the lab report. Chrisean Rock will not name the accredited laboratory that ran the test. Chrisean Rock will not name the chain of custody officer who observed the sample collection. Chrisean Rock will not name a single verifiable data point that would allow an independent journalist to confirm that the test she is claiming even exists. Because it does not exist. Or if it does exist, it did not go the way she is telling the public it went. And the moment a Maryland detective subpoenas that lab, the whole story is going to unravel in the exact place where Chrisean Rock is most exposed. Here is what nobody wants to admit. Chrisean Rock is not a smart criminal. Chrisean Rock is not Jimmy Henchman. Chrisean Rock is a young woman with a Zeus Network paycheck, a Snapchat addiction, a temper problem, and a habit of confessing to felonies on a live stream at 3 o'clock in the morning. Chrisean Rock does not have the discipline to keep her mouth shut. Chrisean Rock does not have the network to make evidence disappear. Chrisean Rock does not have the political cover to make a Maryland detective look the other way. Chrisean Rock is exactly the kind of defendant that a Maryland state's attorney dreams about. Sloppy, loud, self-incriminating, on camera, and already halfway to a confession. If you are a prosecutor, Chrisean Rock is Christmas morning. If you are a defense attorney, Chrisean Rock is a nightmare, because every time you tell her to stay off the internet, she opens Snapchat and posts a scripture with a caption that could be read 3 different ways by 3 different jurors, 2 of whom are about to be looking at her from a jury box. So watch this. Because the industry is turning. Wack 100 has already turned. Blueface has already turned. Carlisa has already turned. Chrisean Rock's sister has already turned. The Zeus Network insiders have already turned. The Baddies co-stars have already turned. Tia Kemp has already turned. Akbar V has already turned. The entire ecosystem of women who once ran with Chrisean Rock, every single one of them has quietly unfollowed, muted, or subtweeted Chrisean Rock in the last 30 days. That is not a coincidence. That is a coordinated distance. That is a public relations firestorm being managed in real time by people who understand that when a Maryland grand jury convenes, they do not want to be in a single photograph with the defendant. But that is not even the wildest part. Because Ronnie Doe's family, his sister, his cousin, his mother, have now started to speak. Ronnie Doe's sister has already done the interview. Ronnie Doe's sister has already called Chrisean Rock the devil to her face on camera. Ronnie Doe's cousin has already come forward saying Chrisean Rock is scared, that Chrisean Rock is running, that Chrisean Rock knows exactly what she did. And Ronnie Doe's family is not going to stop. Ronnie Doe's family is not going to let this case go cold. Ronnie Doe's family is going to be on every podcast, every live stream, every YouTube channel, every TikTok comment section, every Instagram live for the next 6 months, and they are going to keep the pressure on the Anne Arundel County Police Department until an arrest is made. And the pressure works. The pressure always works. Because the same Maryland detective who is watching these breakdowns to build his case file is also watching these breakdowns to gauge public opinion. And when public opinion is 100% convinced that Chrisean Rock did this, that detective has all the political cover, he needs to walk into his lieutenant's office and say, "We are ready to move." Because listen, the police are the biggest clout chasers on planet Earth. Every detective in America wants to be the detective on TMZ. Every detective in America wants his name attached to the arrest of a Zeus Network reality star. Every detective in America is watching this file inflate in real time and calculating exactly how much of his career trajectory can be attached to the moment he clicks the handcuffs on Chrisean Rock in a Baltimore parking lot. And I promise you, when that day comes, and it is coming, the arrest is going to be leaked to TMZ before the paperwork even lands on the desk of a magistrate. Chrisean Rock is going to be walking out of a Miami condo, or a Los Angeles Airbnb, or an Atlanta salon, and she is going to see the cameras before she sees the badges. Because that is how modern celebrity arrests work. So watch this. Here is where this ends. Here is what the next 90 days look like for Chrisean Rock. Somebody, one of the guys who was on that driveway in Severn, Maryland, is going to catch a case. It might be a gun charge. It might be a drug charge. It might be a domestic. It might be a simple traffic stop that turns into a felony because there is a warrant nobody knew about. Whatever the charge is, it is not going to matter, because the moment that shooter is sitting in a Maryland interrogation room with a detective, that shooter is going to be given the choice that Wack 100 already laid out on that stream 7 months ago. The shooter is going to be given the choice between eating the charge on Chrisean Rock's behalf, a woman he does not know, does not love, does not owe, and was probably underpaid by, or handing the detective Chrisean Rock's name and walking home to his own family. That shooter is going to hand over the name. That shooter is going to wear the wire. That shooter is going to make the recorded call. And Chrisean Rock, in her infinite lack of discipline, is going to pick up that phone, and she is going to say something incriminating because she has never in her entire adult life been able to say nothing. And that recorded call is going to be Exhibit B. And Exhibit A is going to be the neon livestream clip. And Exhibit C is going to be the confessions to industry insiders. And Exhibit D is going to be the 4-day bounty timeline. And Exhibit E is going to be the missed Friday court date. And Exhibit F is going to be the sisters Jason Lee interview. And Exhibit G is going to be Wack 100's 7-month-old prediction. Here is what nobody wants to admit. That is more evidence than the prosecution had against half the defendants currently sitting in federal prison. That is more evidence than the prosecution had against Jimmy Henchman. That is more evidence than the prosecution had against half of the RICO defendants in the Young Thug case. And that is not counting the physical evidence, the ballistics, the vehicle description, the neighborhood witnesses, the doorbell cameras, the license plate readers, the cell tower pings, the burner phone traces, the Cash App transfers, the Zelle receipts. And Arundel County has been building this file quietly for over a year, and they are almost ready to move. But that is not even the wildest part. Because Chrisean Rock, as of this week, has a brand new problem. And that problem is that a mainstream outlet has now printed her name next to the word homicide. TMZ is not a blog. TMZ is not a gossip channel. TMZ is a Warner Brothers Discovery property. TMZ is the outlet that broke the death of Kobe Bryant. TMZ is the outlet that broke the arrest of Diddy. TMZ is the outlet that the mainstream press cites when they need a source they can defend in a defamation lawsuit. And once TMZ prints your name in connection with an unsolved murder, the story is no longer a niche gossip story. The story is a national story. The story is an Associated Press story. The story is a CNN Sharon. The story is a Good Morning America segment. The story is a New York Post front page. And the Anne Arundel County Police Department is fully aware of what that pipeline looks like. Every detective on that case just got told, this morning, by a lieutenant with a Maryland flag on his lapel pin, that the entire country is watching. Do not let this one go cold. Bring this one home. So watch this. Chrisean Rock is going to be arrested. It is not a question of if. It is a question of when. It might be next week. It might be in 6 months. It might not be until the anniversary of Ronnie Doe's death, time for maximum press coverage. But it is coming. And when the arrest hits, the industry is going to react in exactly the way industries react when a criminal case finally lands on somebody they all secretly believed was guilty, With a synchronized wave of I told you so's, a flood of unfollows, a wave of subtweets, a run of podcast episodes, and a total blackout of anybody who was ever photographed within 6 feet of the defendant. Zeus Network is going to distance themselves. Baddies is going to distance themselves. Blueface team is going to distance themselves. And Carlisa Saffold is going to go on every single platform that will book her and say, for the record, in front of a camera, that she called this in 2023. Here is what nobody wants to admit. Ronnie Doe was a father. Ronnie Doe was somebody's son. Ronnie Doe was somebody's brother. Ronnie Doe was a young man in Maryland with a baby he believed was his blood, and he was chasing that baby the way any father with a heartbeat would chase a child he thought was being kept from him. Ronnie Doe did not deserve to die in his own driveway. Ronnie Doe did not deserve to catch 10 shots at close range from a shooter who was hired for a small amount of money by a woman who did not want to sit in a courtroom and admit she had been lying about the paternity of her son for 2 years. Ronnie Doe deserved to see his baby grow up. Ronnie Doe deserved every single thing that Chrisean Rock, if the industry insiders are telling the truth, allegedly took from him for the price of a paternity subpoena. She was too much of a coward to face. Because listen, that is the piece of this that is going to sit with me for the rest of the year. The piece the fans on Twitter are not going to want to talk about, because the fans want to talk about Chrisean Rock's Snapchat outfits and Chrisean Rock's hair color and Chrisean Rock's next reality show contract. But underneath the noise, underneath the receipts, underneath the timeline, underneath the confessions, there is a little boy in Maryland, or California, or wherever Chrisean Rock has him tonight, who is growing up without a father, because the person who allegedly took his father from him is the same person who tucks him in at night. Read that sentence again. That is the horror of this case. That is the moral weight of this case. That is the reason Ronnie Doe's family is never going to stop pushing. That is the reason this story is not going away. So watch this. Chrisean Rock has one card left to play, and it is the card she has been telegraphing for 6 weeks. Chrisean Rock is going to try to leave the country. Chrisean Rock is going to try to disappear to a Caribbean island with no extradition, or a South American country with a slow diplomatic process, or an African jurisdiction where a Maryland detective's paperwork gets lost in 3 different translations before it lands on the right desk. Chrisean Rock is going to try to pull the same move that half of the American fugitives before her have tried, and Chrisean Rock is going to run into the same wall that all of those fugitives ran into, which is that the FBI has an office in almost every country on Earth, and that Interpol issues red notices in under a week, and that private investigators hired by Ronnie Doe's family will find Chrisean Rock in a nail salon in Ghana before the U.S. Marshals even finish printing the paperwork. There is no country far enough. There is no jurisdiction slow enough. There is no diplomatic loophole big enough. Chrisean Rock is going to be brought back. The only variable is whether she is brought back in handcuffs or brought back in a body bag, because the streets have their own opinion on this case. But that is not even the wildest part, because there is a growing conversation online, a conversation happening in every group chat in this niche, that Chrisean Rock might not make it to trial. Not because she is going to flee, not because she is going to hide, but because the same people she paid, the same people who took her small amount of money to end Ronnie Doe's life, are watching this TMZ headline right now, and they are doing the math on how much easier their lives get if Chrisean Rock is no longer breathing. Because dead defendants do not testify. Dead defendants do not flip. Dead defendants do not cut plea deals in exchange for the names of the guys who pulled the trigger. And the guys who pulled the trigger on Ronnie Doe have every single incentive to make sure Chrisean Rock does not live long enough to sit in a Maryland courtroom. That is the ugliest version of this story. But that is the version the streets are quietly whispering about. And it is the version that any smart defense attorney is going to be losing sleep over tonight. Here is what nobody wants to admit. Chrisean Rock made the classic celebrity criminal mistake. Chrisean Rock talked. Chrisean Rock told her business. Chrisean Rock confessed to friends who were not really friends, to industry acquaintances who were secretly recording, to Zeus Network cast members who owe her nothing, to Snapchat followers who screen recorded every live stream. Chrisean Rock let the entire world know that she was capable of this, and Chrisean Rock let the entire world know that she had done it, and Chrisean Rock never once considered that a Maryland detective, or a federal prosecutor, or a state's attorney might one day pull every one of those confessions off a hard drive and stack them on top of each other like exhibit tabs in a jury binder. That is the mistake. That is the whole mistake. Chrisean Rock could not shut up. And in the industry, the ones who cannot shut up are the ones who go down. So watch this. If any of what I have just laid out for you is true, and I believe every single word of it is, Chrisean Rock is not just cooked. Chrisean Rock is done. Chrisean Rock is finished. Chrisean Rock is looking at the last free 90 days of her life. Chrisean Rock is looking at a Maryland courtroom, a life sentence, a state prison in Jessup or Baltimore, and a son who is going to grow up watching his mother on a video visit through a plexiglass screen. Chrisean Rock is looking at the end of every endorsement deal, every reality show contract, every Zeus Network paycheck, every Instagram brand collaboration, every ticketed appearance, every single revenue stream that has kept the Chrisean Rock machine running for the last 4 years. Chrisean Rock is looking at the end of Chrisean Rock, and the only person who wrote that ending was Chrisean Rock herself. So drop your verdict below. Tell me right now, in the comments section, do you think Chrisean Rock did this? Tell me right now, do you think Anne Arundel County has enough? Tell me right now, do you think Chrisean Rock is going to run before the arrest hits? Tell me right now, do you think Blueface is going to testify against her at trial? Tell me right now, do you think Ronnie Doe's family is finally going to get the justice they have been screaming for since February of 2025? And tell me one more thing. Do you believe, deep in your gut, that by the time we get to the end of this year, Chrisean Rock is going to be sitting in a Maryland holding cell answering for the murder of Karen Can? Because I do. I believe it in my bones. I believe it the same way Wack 100 believed it 7 months ago. I believe it the same way Ronnie Doe's sister believed it on that Jason Lee interview. I believe it the same way Carlisa Saffold has believed it since day one. And I believe it because the receipts do not lie, the timeline does not lie, the confessions do not lie, and the TMZ headline is now printed in black and white. Chrisean Rock is not going to slip out of this. Chrisean Rock is not going to talk her way out of this. Chrisean Rock is not going to disappear her way out of this. Chrisean Rock is going to go through this. And every one of us is going to be watching. Every one of us is going to be commenting. Every one of us is going to be pulling the receipts. Because that is what this era of true crime looks like now. The audience is the investigator. The audience is the archivist. The audience is the prosecutor. And Chrisean Rock's audience, the same audience that once put her on, is about to be the same audience that takes her down. Stay locked in with me. Because in the next episode, we are going to break down the exact 5 industry insiders that Chrisean Rock allegedly confessed to. We're going to break down the exact neon livestream that is about to become a subpoena. We're going to break down the exact ways Blueface-owned cooperation is being negotiated behind the scenes. And we are going to break down the exact reason Ronnie Doe's family is about to file a wrongful death civil suit that runs parallel to the criminal case. If you thought this episode was heavy, the next one is going to be a bomb. Subscribe. Turn the bell on. Do not miss a single upload, because in this cycle, every single week matters, and the next episode is the one that names names. Chrisean Rock built this trap for herself, brick by brick, confession by confession, livestream by livestream, and now every single one of us gets to watch, in real time, on our own phones, as Chrisean Rock walks directly into it.